Leticia is a young girl trained from childhood to become the wife of the future king. One day, the prince appears with his new fiancée, much to Leticia's delight, as she is now free to live her life as she wishes, until the prince decides to pursue her, determined to win her heart. A small, red-haired girl silently runs through the castle corridors. She reaches the entrance and sees the door open. She runs toward it but trips. The door closes, blocking her escape. The girl feels trapped. A young blonde man sees her and calls out her name, Leticia. Sometime earlier, we see Leticia playing with her dog, John, at a big house where she lives with her father, mother, and older brother. One day, someone knocks on the door, and a servant delivers a letter with the royal seal on a tray. Leticia's parents read it and then come out to share the news with their daughter. They tell her that her future has already been decided. Leticia doesn't understand what that means, but her mother doesn't waste time explaining. Instead, she tells Leticia she is lucky and begins making preparations. Leticia asks her father if they're going somewhere. He explains that she will go to the palace, where she'll be taught how to be a good wife. The idea excites young Leticia, who asks who will go with her. Her father replies that, unfortunately, she'll have to go alone. The idea suddenly seems much less appealing to the little girl, who begins to cry. Her father picks her up and comforts her, assuring her that everything will be fine. The next day, everything is ready. Leticia waits in the carriage, while her parents ask her older brother, Nadir, to take good care of her. They tell her that they'll be able to visit during royal audiences, but that will take some time. The siblings set off for the castle, and after a long journey, they finally arrive. A butler guides them through the corridors to a door. He opens it, and without a word, Nadir gives Leticia a gentle push inside and closes the door. Leticia doesn't understand what's happening. In the room, there's a very formal woman who immediately begins to judge and belittle her. The woman asks her to pay attention because she will teach her how to greet properly. She explains that, as a woman, Leticia should only speak when necessary, clearly and with proper posture. She introduces herself as Lila Mayer and states that she will be in charge of Leticia's education. Leticia introduces herself, but Lila says she did it incorrectly and asks her to come closer. Lila instructs her to say, "I am Leticia Dorman, daughter of Duke Dorman, at your service." Leticia tries to repeat it but stumbles over her words a few times. Lila scolds her for this. Lila demands that she repeat it without stammering and threatens her with a rod. Leticia begins to cry and calls for her parents, but Lila dismisses her cries as useless, saying her behavior is unworthy of a future queen. That night, Leticia tells her brother what happened. He advises her to continue with the lessons to become a princess, even if she doesn't like it. She says she doesn't want to be yelled at. Her brother insists she needs to learn to endure it. Leticia refuses and says she wants to go back home. Nadir warns her that running away will only make things worse for her. Leticia tries to argue, but Nadir bluntly tells her the decision has been made, leaving her no choice but to accept it. Nadir encourages her to do her best and calls for Lily to come in. Leticia doesn't know who he's talking about. Another formal woman enters the room and introduces herself as Lily Stair, saying she will look after Leticia. She asks how her day went. Leticia explains that she learned how to greet properly. Lily offers to help her review the lesson and practice, which Leticia accepts, but Lily corrects her way of accepting. The next morning, Leticia sleeps peacefully until Lily opens the curtains to wake her up. Lily explains that Leticia must go to the castle daily for her lessons and will need to wake up early to prepare. That day, Layla teaches Leticia the correct way to stand. After making several corrections to her posture, she announces that she will now teach her how to walk properly. She places a book on Leticia's head and tells her to walk without letting the book fall or wobble. Leticia tries to take a step, but immediately drops the book. Layla declares her a lost cause and orders her to pick up the book and try again. Leticia adjusts herself and tries once more, but after a few steps the book falls again. Layla tells her to repeat the exercise. The following morning, Leticia finds it easier to wake up early. She goes to the castle, where Layla teaches her proper table manners. Layla instructs her to hold the spoon by the upper half, gripping it with her thumb, index finger, and middle finger. Leticia follows the instructions correctly. Layla then tells her to fill only a small portion of the spoon with soup, avoiding any noise from the spoon hitting the plate. Leticia manages to do this, but as she lifts the spoon to her mouth, she breaks her posture. Layla corrects her. Later, during dance lessons, Leticia tries to follow Layla's steps but struggles and falls to the floor. Layla reprimands her for not memorizing the steps, helps her up, and has her try again. Time passes quickly. Lily goes to wake Letitia, as she has done so many times before, but this time finds Letitia, now a beautiful young woman, already awake, gazing out the window at what seems to be a lovely day. At the castle, Lila demonstrates the proper way to walk to a group of young girls, using Letitia as an example. The girls are captivated by Letitia's beauty and elegance. The same happens during mealtimes. Letitia now masters these tasks effortlessly after years of practice. She also takes classes in politics and geography to learn how to maintain good relations with leaders of other nations. One evening, a dance is held at the castle. Upon seeing her, everyone is dazzled by the beauty of Prince Clark's betrothed. Descending to the ceremony, she greets her brother curtly before continuing to the center of the dance room. There, the prince introduces her to Brianna Larakel, whom he escorts by the arm. Letitia notices immediately. The prince informs her that he will not be her companion tonight. In a very formal manner, Letitia asks directly if it is because he now has a new companion. Prince Clark confirms and apologizes. Letitia processes what is happening and asks if this means their engagement is broken. Clark regretfully admits that it is. Letitia begins to waver, and everyone watches her with concern. However, she lifts her head with a bright smile and starts to celebrate. Everyone is shocked by her response. Letitia is overjoyed that the wedding has been called off. She runs to her brother and asks if he heard everything that just happened. Nadir replies seriously that he saw it all. Letitia reminds him that he must now fulfill his promise. Some time ago, Letitia had asked Nadir to help cancel the marriage. Nadir reminded her that it wasn't possible. Letitia begged him to speak to their father to stop the wedding. Nadir explained that their father had no authority to decide such matters and urged her to focus on her lessons so as not to disgrace their family. Letitia called him a fool, and they began to argue until she resigned herself a bit and sat down on the couch. Calming down, she asked him again to annul the marriage, but Nadir continued to refuse. Letitia then asked what would happen if Prince Clark fell in love with someone else, which was highly likely, given that their marriage had been arranged by their parents. Nadir found this idea intriguing and agreed that if such a thing were to happen, the marriage could be annulled. Letitia made him promise that if it ever happened, the engagement would be called off. Nadir agreed. In the present, Nadir acknowledges that the engagement is over. Letitia resumes her celebration, running to thank the prince's new fiancée. She struggles to remember her name and ends up calling her Banana. Brianna corrects her, saying that her name is Brianna, and asks if Letitia is making fun of her. Letitia assures her that she would never do such a thing, as she is incredibly grateful to her for taking this burden off of her. Brianna is confused and asks what burden she is referring to. Letitia explains the daily etiquette lessons: endless pacing, practicing sitting and greeting properly, eating small portions, and enduring boring lectures. She also had to dance tirelessly and drink endless amounts of tea. Letitia thanks Brianna for saving her from having to continue. Without waiting, Letitia says goodbye and runs for the exit, but is stopped by someone. It is Prince Clark. Letitia thanks him for breaking off the engagement and comments that she wishes he had done so sooner. However, she ignores him, eager to start over. Clark tries to speak, but Letitia is too excited about her future plans to let him get a word in edgewise. Finally, she leaves the castle and calls for a carriage to take her as far away as possible. But first, she stops to share the good news with Lily. Lily is stunned by what has happened. Letitia can't believe she has endured almost 10 years of lessons where she was scolded for everything and forbidden to do anything. Letitia asks Lily to move in with her so she can get away. Nadir enters the room, visibly upset by what happened. Letitia realizes that it is because she liked the idea of being part of the royal family, and now she will have to find another way to achieve it. Lily suggests that they all find a way to get along. Nadir proposes that they move to her house in Aberta. Letitia remembers it as a beautiful country house surrounded by rivers and forests. She loves the idea and agrees to move there. She wants to leave the next day, but Lily reminds her that organizing the move will take several days. Letitia suggests taking only the essentials and warns that life there will be simpler, since they will not have servants. Still, Lily is happy to accompany her. Hey, if you made it to this part of the video, don't forget to write the word exquisito in the comment section. Thank you so much and see you in the next video.